Welcome to Rambunctious Reddit, where the drama's real, the names are fake, and the stories are straight from the wildest corners of the internet. From petty revenge to Am I the Asshole to everything in between, we bring some of Reddit's juiciest stories to you, the wonderful and lovely audience, one video at a time. Let's get started. Am I the asshole for freaking out on my boyfriend for coughing? Credit goes to 𝓕𝓡𝓔𝓐𝓚. So my boyfriend, 27M, is a huge pothead. I'm 31F, also enjoy a little smoking, but my boyfriend on the other hand goes through an ounce of weed every 1.5 to 2 weeks. Another thing my boyfriend does constantly is talk. He can talk for an hour straight without breaks and doesn't even require responses. I have gotten irritated with him for, as I call it, treating me like a prop to just listen to him ramble on for long periods of time. It feels like there is absolutely no space for me to talk and add my opinions to things. In fact, I actively avoid responding to him when he gets like this because a one-sentence response from me could spark another 10 minutes of him describing the Warframe customization sliders to me, not a joke. So anyway, he's describing a mission on the new Hitman game to me, and when his story is over I decided to try to talk about the game I'm enjoying, 𝓕𝓡𝓔𝓐𝓚. The second he stops talking he takes an enormous rip-off of his bung and does a series of ear-piercing coughs over the first sentence I say about 𝓕𝓡𝓔𝓐𝓚. I'll admit I immediately saw red and lost my temper completely. I screamed at him for coughing over the first thing I had to say in over 10 minutes. He got very angry at me. I tried to explain how I had been feeling like I'm not getting to speak or be listened to, but he claims I ruined a perfectly good evening over something as stupid and normal as him coughing and talking. So, am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for not letting my ex or his girlfriend see my baby? Credit goes to Anonymous Person 3. My ex and I haven't gotten along since we divorced 4 years ago. He has created fake pages to stalk me, called Child Protective Services on me, attempted to get my now husband to leave me before we ever got married, and put our child at risk. The list goes on, but I won't name everything. His girlfriend has been around since before we got divorced and before anyone asks, yes, they did have an affair. Fast forward to now, our child is in 2nd grade and spends time with their dad and his girlfriend during breaks. I recently got remarried and had a new baby. I don't want my baby around my ex and his girlfriend or to even see them for obvious reasons. My child has asked their dad if he wanted to see the baby and he said something along the lines of I wouldn't mind. I said no and that their dad didn't need to see the baby and left it at that. Here's where I might be the asshole. My child video chats with their dad or his girlfriend sometimes. Recently I told them that if they're holding the baby they need to turn the camera off because their dad and his girlfriend don't need to see the baby. My child told the girlfriend this and the girlfriend said, "Isn't that rude?" So am I the asshole for not wanting them to see my baby at all? They have both attempted to make my life difficult on multiple occasions, and I don't want them to have anything to do with my baby at all. I barely like them having anything to do with my oldest child due to several incidents, but that's their father. 𝓕𝓡𝓔𝓐𝓚. There was an order granted to me in court for my protection with regard to this ex. So, I'm just trying to protect the baby and my older child as well. Edit number 2. I have never bad-mouthed the oldest dad to them or around them. I simply said that they didn't need to see the baby right now and did not elaborate further. The oldest does have an excellent relationship with the baby and helps out a lot. I've done my best to keep them out of the toxicity even when this ex has not. My biggest concern is my baby being showed to by other people by ex via screenshot or somehow involved in anything unnecessary. Hubby feels the same way as he has been dragged into things by this ex before. The older child has also been told things by this ex that are completely inappropriate to be discussing with a child. I'm doing my best to protect both my children. Also, the oldest loves my new hubby and they have an amazing relationship. Oldest has gone with hubby to do things alone. And oldest always hugs him and gets upset anytime he has to go anywhere, including to work. Edit number 3. I do agree that I should just remove the baby from the area during these calls. That's on me for allowing my eldest to hold the baby or watch the baby during these calls, and I can do better moving forward and just let me oldest know that I want them to focus on their conversation with their dad and I'll key. Am I the asshole for telling my father-in-law he can't hump the floor at my house or in my presence? Credit goes to user 𝓕𝓡𝓔𝓐𝓚𝓨. Crazy title, and I wish it weren't true, but here we are. Unfortunately, I'm asking because I'm possibly in a state of being gaslit, or I actually can't take a joke and I can't see it. My father-in-law, late 50s, is known for being very playful, goofy, some would even say. Well, him, my mother-in-law, late 50s, and 3 sibling in-laws, 20M and 27M 28F married couple, came to stay with my husband and I at our home, 28F 30M, and to see our new little one, 7 months. Well, little one was put to bed and we were all in the living room area hanging out, doing stretches, just casually talking, when father-in-law decided it would be funny to start humping the ground out of nowhere. And unfortunately it was directly in front of me, not mother-in-law. Mother-in-law and I looked at each other in shock while his children all laughed and chuckled. Father-in-law made it clear that the gesture was meant for his wife despite it being directly in front of me, with eye contact, so we dropped it. The night passed, they left town, and after a few days of not being able to shake the image in my head, I decided to talk with my husband about how uncomfortable it made me along with other sexual jokes he makes about us all being married and etc. There's been this big divide now on how I'm always ruining the fun, how it was just a joke and not a sexual gesture, and how I'll always find a problem when my husband's family is in town. His family thinks this, however, when I speak with my mom, sister, cousins, and anyone on my side of the world, they see his jokes and gesture as totally inappropriate. My father-in-law tried to make the point that I've done TikTok dances in his home with the other sibling-in-laws and my husband, and he's never felt uncomfortable because he knows they're harmless and that it's not fair for me to judge him about this versus knowing his intent, which was to just make a joke. My point is, even though I'm not on TikTok and I don't post videos, everything I've done is postable. Him slow stroking the ground is not. My husband got mad at me for not seeing it as a joke, and so did the other married siblings who were in the room that were raised by father-in-law. So am I the asshole for saying that my father-in-law humping the floor in my home/presence made me uncomfortable and drawing that boundary? Am I the asshole if I uninvited my bridesmaid after things she said to my mom and my aunt, her mother-in-law? Credit goes to 𝓕𝓡𝓔𝓐𝓚𝓨. I, 31F, asked my cousin's wife Eleanor, 37F, to be my bridesmaid. My Aunt Mandy is her mother-in-law. My cousin is Dan, 41M. Mandy isn't well, and for the last year Eleanor has been complaining about her to my mom. Saying hurtful things about the state of her health, hygiene, and house, etc., going after all aspects of her. Last year Mandy got a bad diagnosis and spent time in hospital. It was a hard year for her, and when Christmas came it was a chance for all the family to be together and celebrate, etc., but Eleanor and Dan were barely around over the Christmas period. Mom spoke to Dan and was honest about how we all felt about that, as well as the hurtful things Eleanor was saying about her. That evening Eleanor started texting my mom. She accused my mother of having mental problems and said she needed to go see a psychiatrist. She said I wouldn't look after her in her old age the way they look after Mandy, and just a whole load of stuff attacking Mom. It was very civil on Mom's side, but Eleanor seemed to be on a rampage and it was like she wasn't reading Mom's replies. Mom tried ringing her and Dan as she felt it wasn't a conversation to have over text, but she wouldn't answer. Mom was really upset by the end and Dad tried calling Dan too, but he wouldn't answer. Ever since then the family have gone low contact but keep the peace for the sake of Mandy. Eleanor has been okay with me and did come on my hen party, what we Irish call a bachelorette party. We all thought she wouldn't show up considering what she said to my mother. I didn't uninvite her at the time at Mom's request. We were worried if I uninvited them it would upset Mandy, and she is our main priority. Now to today's incident. Mandy's condition has worsened and she now has different carers coming in for a few hours every day to help her. She gets on really well with her Saturday carer Jane. She looks forward to her day with her. Well, last week Jane had been called into a meeting with her supervisor and was told she's not allowed work with Mandy anymore. Turns out someone reported her for taking money off Mandy. She didn't take any money off her though. She would sometimes pick up bread or milk, basic shopping for Mandy, and Mandy only paid her what it cost. Mandy was really upset and wants her back, but Jane isn't answering her calls. Another one of her carers showed her a letter the supervisor had sent to all of Mandy's carers. It said they're not to do any shopping for Mandy, that her son does her shopping for her. So it was Dan and or Eleanor that had reported it. Neither of them do her shopping, by the way. Mandy is really angry and upset over this. They knew how well she got on with Jane. We think that they did it on purpose to get rid of the nice carer, as they don't want carers coming in. They want her to go into a nursing home. Eleanor said as much in Am I the asshole for refusing to hang out with my sister's boyfriend because I find him boring? Credit goes to substantial sort 6728. My sister, 26F, has been dating this guy, let's call him Craig, 28M, for about 8 months now. I, 29M, have met him plenty of times, family dinners, group outings, birthdays, etc. He's not a bad guy. He's polite, never rude or inappropriate, but he's honestly one of the most boring people I've ever met. He doesn't really have hobbies, ambitions, or anything interesting to say. Every conversation with him feels like pulling teeth, and I'm not the only one who feels this way. Lately, though, my sister and I have been spending more time together, and Craig has started asking her to ask me to hang out with him, like just the two of us, or me taking him along when I go out with my friends. But honestly, I really don't want to. It's not about being mean. I just genuinely don't enjoy his company. I don't want to waste my limited free time with someone I don't connect with. And more than that, I don't want to bring him into my friend group. My friends are super important to me, and we have a certain vibe and energy. Craig would stick out like a sore thumb, and I honestly think it would reflect badly on me if I brought someone that awkward and disengaged around. I told my sister this, and she got pissed. Said I was being shallow, selfish, and unsupportive. That if I cared about her, I'd make more of an effort with someone who clearly wants to bond with me. She says I'm being a snob and that I'm judging him for not being cool enough. But from my perspective, being someone's brother doesn't mean I have to be best friends with their boyfriend, especially if there's just no chemistry or shared interests. Thanks for watching. Moi.